Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Give the video a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I go through every single one. Thanks for being here. My name is Rowan. I'm 38, and I've never been a type to make a grand entrance anywhere. I move quietly, speak gently, and do my best to keep life uncomplicated. My wife, Marbel, was everything I wasn't: vibrant, expressive, affectionate. The sort of woman whose presence could shift the mood of an entire room without any effort. At least, that was who she used to be. Over time, something inside her dimmed. The softness in her words cooled, and the laughter she shared at home sounded thinner, like the genuine version was being saved for someone who wasn't me. I picked up on it, of course, but I kept brushing it aside, blaming work, fatigue, or some passing rough patch we'd eventually sort out. Marriage is supposed to be two people choosing one another every day, even when things aren't perfect. I was still choosing us. I truly believe she was too. Everything changed on the night of Nolan's birthday. He's been my closest friend since our college days, the guy who's seen every rise and fall of my life. He insisted we show up, claiming a night out would be good for both of us. Fresh air, friendly faces, a chance to reconnect. I agreed, hoping he might be right. The celebration was held at a warm, intimate rooftop lounge downtown. String lights swayed overhead. Gentle music blended with scattered laughter, and people drifted between groups with drinks in hand. Even though parties aren't really my scene, I walked in with a quiet optimism that maybe, just maybe, Marbel and I would find our way back to each other for a night. I spotted her before she noticed me, standing with Cassie and a few others, beaming in a way I hadn't witnessed in months. That smile hit me hard, mostly because it was a version of her I'd been missing. I walked toward her, not wanting to interrupt, only hoping to greet her in my usual soft way. I lifted my arms slightly for a simple hug. What happened next felt like an invisible blow. She snapped backward like my touch was something she needed to dodge, her eyes flashing as her voice shot above the music for everyone nearby to hear. "Rowan, not here. God, do you have to cling to me all the time?" The area around us went still. Conversation stalled. A couple near the railing stopped mid-sentence. Even the bartender hesitated with the bottle still tilted. I froze in place, lowering my arms. First came the embarrassment, hot and instant. But underneath it, something colder edged its way in. Something I'd been trying to avoid acknowledging for weeks. Her expression wasn't flustered or regretful. It was irritated, annoyed that I had tried to touch her at all, as if I were some overbearing stranger intruding on her evening. I stepped back. I was only saying hello. She rolled her eyes toward her friends and forced a strained laugh. "Sorry, guys. He's just... anyway." Whatever she tried to say after that turned into noise. I wasn't listening anymore. I drifted away quietly, pretending I'd intended to greet someone across the room, pretending nothing had happened, pretending I hadn't just been dismissed like an inconvenience in front of a crowd. Nolan saw it instantly. He always does, and he pulled me aside, lowering his tone. "You okay? You look like you just got run over." "I'm fine," I lied, but I wasn't. I lingered at the party for another hour, barely speaking. I observed her from across the room, the ease with which she laughed with others, and the way her posture stiffened whenever our eyes collided. And the longer I watched, the more something inside me unraveled, quietly, deliberately, like a taut thread finally snapping after too much strain. On the ride home, she scrolled through her phone in silence. I didn't ask why she had reacted the way she did. I didn't inquire if something else was bothering her. I didn't try to mend things, not because I didn't want to, but because the realization hit me. I had been the only one putting in effort for far too long. Once we got home, she went straight to bed without so much as glancing my way. I stayed in the living room, staring at the wall for what felt like hours, thinking about the people we once were, the person she had become, and how I had gradually disappeared inside our marriage without even noticing. By the time the first light of dawn crept across the carpet, clarity washed over me. If she felt embarrassed by my love, then she shouldn't be married to a man who gives it freely. That morning, before she even stirred, I made a choice. I wasn't going to beg for the remnants of her affection any longer. I wasn't going to pursue a version of her that no longer existed. If she refused my embrace in public, she wouldn't receive my presence in private either. And that marked the beginning of the end. Marbel woke around 9, stretching slowly before sitting up. I remained in the same chair I'd occupied most of the night, though I had placed my phone, a folder, and a pen on the coffee table. She noticed immediately. "You're up early," she mumbled, voice still thick with sleep. I nodded. Couldn't sleep. She blinked at me, puzzled. Not worried, just perplexed, like I had appeared outside the boundaries of her understanding. "You're acting strange," she murmured, tucking her hair behind her ear. "Are you still upset about last night?" There it was. The moment I could have spilled everything. How her public rejection had wounded me deeper than she could possibly grasp. How her quiet coldness had seeped into every corner of our marriage over time. I could have laid it all bare. But I didn't. She had stopped caring about these feelings a long time ago. "No," I said evenly. "I'm not angry." She blinked. "Then why do you look like someone died?" I rose slowly and lifted the folder from the table. Her expression shifted, the faint annoyance turning into something sharper, something defensive. "What's that?" "My papers." I replied simply. She stared at them as though they were alien objects. "Papers for what?" she demanded. "For us," I answered. She went rigid, pulling her robe closer around her body. "Rowan, what are you talking about?" I set the folder down on the table between us. "I'm finished, Marbel." Her brow shot upward. "Finished with what?" "With this marriage." The words didn't come out sharp or bitter. They left my mouth steady, quiet, almost gentle. And somehow, that soft certainty unsettled her more than anger would have. She let out a too loud, too nervous laugh. "Oh, come on. Stop it. You're blowing things out of proportion. Because of what? One awkward moment at a party." "It wasn't an awkward moment," I said. "It was clarity." She stared me down, waiting for the familiar version of me to show up. The man who always softened first, apologized first, backed down first. The man who swallowed his own hurt, so hers didn't have to surface. But that man wasn't standing in front of her anymore. "You humiliated me," I said softly. What hurt more was realizing you didn't feel even a flicker of shame about doing it. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. "You haven't wanted my touch in months," I continued, not as an accusation, just the truth. "You haven't wanted me. You don't look at me like a partner anymore. Last night just made it impossible to pretend otherwise." Marbel pressed her hand to her forehead. "It was a party, Rowan. I got overwhelmed. I didn't want attention." "You caused the attention," I replied. "I only tried to hug my wife." Her jaw tensed. "So you're throwing away everything we built over one moment?" "No," I said. "You chipped away at it one moment at a time. Last night is just when I finally saw the whole picture. For the first time, something that looked like fear crossed her face." "So, what now?" she asked quietly. "You want a break? Some distance?" "I want a conclusion," I said. "A clean one." Her voice trembled. "Rowan, please, don't do this." I was stressed. I handled things badly. Everyone messes up sometimes. A small ache pulsed in my chest because I remembered the woman she once was. The warm, expressive person who used to cup my face between her hands like I was the part of her days she loved most. But that version hadn't been around in a long time, and I couldn't live with the echo of someone who no longer existed. "I'm not angry," I said softly. "I'm just done living unloved." She swallowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "So that's it? After everything?" "Yes," I said, "because somewhere along the line, you stopped choosing me. I'm only now choosing to accept it." Marbel sank onto the couch, staring at the floor, her breathing uneven. "I never thought you'd actually leave," she murmured. "That was the problem," I replied. The silence that fell between us wasn't bitter. It wasn't explosive. It was the kind of silence that feels like a door closing gently but permanently, the kind that arrives when truth shows up far too late. A couple of hours later, I packed a small bag. Only essentials. Only what belonged to me. She stood in the doorway watching, arms hugged around herself, eyes red but dry. She rarely cried. Even now. "Where you going?" she whispered. "For now." I shrugged. "Probably Nolan's." She nodded slowly. "Do you hate me?" I paused. "No, I never did." "Then why leave?" she asked, voice cracking. "Because affection without respect isn't love," I said. "And last night showed me exactly how you see me." I walked past her without brushing her shoulder, without reaching for her hand, without offering a hug she would have pulled away from. Outside, the morning air felt strangely warm, almost like something welcoming me forward. At the car, I looked back once, at the house we built, the life we tried to hold together, the memories still tucked inside the walls. And then I released it all. Sometimes the quietest choices are the ones that change your entire world. And choosing to walk away from someone who stopped valuing me was the loudest silence I had ever made.